Looking for a job isn't easy. It used to be that you could apply at a big name tech company and build a great career for yourself. But times have changed. Many of these companies have gone full woke. And if you aren't the right gender, ethnicity, you don't use pronouns, or if you're not an activist for the preferred cause, then good luck. Why would you risk your career on that? At Red Balloon, we're connecting good employees with top quality companies that value you for your skills and your work ethic, not your social activism score. Employers who post jobs on Red Balloon are focused on creating an enjoyable and productive work culture, free from divisive woke mandates. So if you want to find a serious career path without the nonsense, come to Red Balloon and post your resume today. Because you shouldn't have to choose between your job and your values. That's redballoon.work, where you can find your future.
Belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. Trans people belong here. We need trans people. We love trans people. You matter. You matter. And I am fighting for you. And I will not stop. I will not stop today. I will not stop tomorrow. You are loved. You matter. You belong here.
I'm impressed.
What?
Pastor, I'm impressed.
What?
You didn't flip out that whole time.
What? I mean,
I was waiting for you to kind of like, and nobody else is listening anymore, but
everybody else turned it off. Everybody's like, oh.
I was wondering.
We were looking for cross-politic. Where's the cross-politic music? This must be the wrong podcast.
I was like, there's no way Pastor Toby's going to last this whole clip. You know, you really showed the patience of a pastor in this moment. Yeah, I don't have that. I was done a long time ago. I was.
Why are you doing that to me?
I just wanted to see how sanctified you were.
Oh my goodness.
And I learned that you're really sanctified. Wow, that's impressive.
Hey, if you're a fan of Cross Politic or the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
Not anymore.
Then surely you know we have a merch store, right? Rowdy Christian Merch is your one-stop shop for everything cross-politic merchandise. We've got t-shirts, hoodies, hats, but we've also got specialty items like backpacks, mugs, coffee, even AirPod cases. Visit Rowdy Christian Merch at rowdychristian.com. Buy that next gift or a little something for yourself, or maybe send something to that poor lady.
She needs a magazine issue.
Again, it's rowdychristian.com. rowdychristian.com. I think that's that's like, even if you are a trans person, is that actually encouraging to you?
I wonder if there's something like, yes. If you have ears, that is not encouraging to you.
I know. I think that's like no, please. Oh, no, please.
Although when you're willing to start mutilating your flesh, there's a lot of things that you might feel that
a lot of things get mutilated.
Yeah, there's like your common sense. Yeah. So Pastor Toby, right now, the thing that's exploding all over social media every time I go online is this new film that everybody's heard of already, The Sound of Freedom.
Yeah.
The Sound of Freedom has exploded onto the scene for multiple reasons. One is that it's talking about sex trafficking, which is a big topic that is going around. One of those things that kind of seems hidden. I remember I was living in Atlanta and they were talking a lot of sex trafficking in Atlanta airports. Didn't know that. One of the ways that they were selling people is you sit in a stall and then there'd be a guy there next to you and you tap your foot and he would give you options of what you wanted in the menu. I had no idea that was going. I'm like, how many times I've been in an Atlanta stall? I have no idea what's going on. So that's one reason. But the other side that seems to be making it popular, the liberals, I think they're making it popular because of the legitime.
What?
The legitime.
Is that French?
Yes, it is.
Oh, man. I didn't know you was like...
I've been practicing.
You're like classically educated.
No. But I think that the legitime is they are looking out for the plus.
LGBTQIA.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what you did there. Yeah, LGBTQIA.
That's my new thing. I'm starting making that popular. It shouldn't be. It sounds too nice, honestly.
It does.
LGBTQIA.
It sounds like it's intelligent.
Yeah. No.
It sounds like
No.
it's
ironic, is what it is.
It is ironic. Oh my goodness.
But they have. I think they're protecting two things. I think they're protecting the plus. Mm-hmm. They've seen a lot more pedophilia, or what do they call persons?
Minor attracted.
MAPS. Yeah. Minor attracted people. You've seen that come out a lot more.
Yep.
And I think that what I want to talk about is the thing that I don't think everybody else is talking about, that there's a massive break in the system of communication. They're not controlling the airways like they once used to.
Yeah.
Right. We are seeing right now, hopefully we'll talk about this too, but there's a stay that the Biden administration filed against, was it Missouri versus Biden?
Right.
They want them to release them so they can actually go back and start talking to social media companies and tell them what they can and can't put on their social media platforms.
Right.
And so that's going on at the same time that the sound of freedom is going on. And if you look out there and you look at all of the liberal media platforms, this stuff is happening. The Rolling Stone, who was it that said, this is brain worms? This is, I don't see it up here.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Is it one of them?
It's Rolling Stone.
Yeah, Sound of Freedom is a superhero movie for dads with brain worms. I haven't seen the film. Have you seen the film yet? I haven't seen it yet.
The film is about a man who wants to go and save children who are being sex trafficked, and he goes to his wife and asks for permission. His wife says yes, and he goes and saves these children.
Right.
Why is this?
Right.
Anyway, so what I started to do with last night, I started thinking about this. I'm like, there's another reason why this is important. If you look, I think we're in the middle of a John Wick moment. And when John Wick first came out, it was very unique. I don't know if you remember this.
No.
Because you're a pastor, you don't really watch all these films. But when John Wick came out, when they first heard about John Wick.
Keanu Reeves.
I
know he's the star.
Yeah.
That's as much as I know.
He wasn't as popular when the film was originally being made, and people.
I remember him from Matrix.
Yes, and I think Matrix is one of the best movies ever made.
Okay.
So,
but John Wick.
So John Wick was coming out. It was a low budget film. Now, when I say low budget, I'm not talking about it was $20,000. No, it was a $20 million movie. That was low budget then. Okay.
Wow.
So John Wick is coming out, $20 million film, and everybody's like, you can't make an action film
for $20 million.
For $20 million and think that we're going to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Right. And so nobody was interested in it. They weren't interested in Keanu Reeves because it's like, no, okay. You're going to die. Stop. Nobody was interested in Keanu. He's not their favorite actor.
Right.
But this clip drops on YouTube of him training with Taron, right? It was Taron Tactical, Neil? The Taron Butler, thank you. But Taron Tactical, I think, is their Instagram name. But Taron Butler, he's training with him, and everybody's like, whoa, he can run some guns.
Okay.
And so it was like, well, okay, I want to see what he does.
Okay.
And so John Wick comes out. It cost $20 million to make, and it grossed $88 million.
I think they made it.
That was the first film.
That was John Wick.
That was
1.
John Wick 1. John Wick 2, $40 million production cost, $171.5 million, so almost $172 million.
Oh my goodness!
And so John Wick 3, $75 million for production, $326 million in gross.
Yep.
Okay, the fourth film just recently came out. It's a wonderful film, by the way.
Is it?
$100 million in production. $425 million in gross.
They're quadrupling every time.
Every time. Changed the industry. Broke what people... Because remember, you got Marvel films.
Yeah.
$250 million in just production. Plus, they're doing another $200 million in marketing.
Right.
So they're at $500 million to get a film out and marketed, right? And they're making crazy money.
Yeah.
Well, Angel Studios is on the scene now. And, they came out with The Chosen. That's getting crowdfunded. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And they come out with this film that I didn't even know about in Easter called His Only Son.
Okay.
Right? And here, I'm going to play the trailer of it because I didn't even see the film, but here's what His Only Son looks like.
What are you doing, Abraham? All this commotion, so early. Abraham.
The Lord came to me last night.
What?
He says we are to go to Moriah, you and I, and make a sacrifice to him there.
Make sure no harm comes to our son.
Since we first entered this land decades ago, I have seen the bonds of protection the living God has placed around you.
He has promised to make of me a great name, a great nation.
We haven't even a son.
We will.
How long have we tried?
Why is the Lord having you trek all this way for a sacrifice?
I will not stand in your way.
You're not standing in the way. You're standing by my side. You're my wife. We must cling to our faith.
If all your hopes were dashed upon the rocks, and all that you loved was lost, would your faith still stand?
I didn't see it.
Wow.
But it looks good. It looks decent enough to go check out.
Yeah.
So I'm bringing this up because the production cost was $250,000, $250,000. And they raised, Angel with their raising ability raised $1.2 million to get it into theaters and get it distributed. And so let's just call that a total of $1.3 million.
Right.
They did $13 million in sales. Now, if you don't know,
Wow.
they gross, okay?
Wow.
So remember, I'm building off the idea that something has broken inside of the gatekeepers.
Right.
Angel Studios gets it. They're understanding this.
Right.
And to do $13 million, I don't know if people know how movies work, but whatever you do in film, you only get half of that because you split it with the box office.
Okay.
So if you do $10 million film, it's production.
Yeah. 5 goes to the theaters.
5 of that goes to the theaters.
Okay.
So if your film costs you $10 million, you need to do double that in order to be able to break even.
Recoup. Yeah.
Right. Well, they're breaking even really good right here.
Yeah, they are.
And they're not even the digital sales yet.
No.
Right? So let's 1.3 to make, $13 million in gross.
Okay.
All right. So now let's get to the Sound of Freedom real quick.
Okay.
Sound of Freedom was put on ice by Disney. I don't remember my producers telling us that they made this 5 years ago. The Angel Studios bought it from them. And so that's 14.5.
Like they actually made the movie?
I believe the movie was made.
And made it 4 years ago?
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing. So it's 4 or 5 years ago, it's been put on ice by Disney. And Disney has many reasons for putting it on ice.
Sure.
You know, whatever.
They've got piles of films that they...
Sure, but I think this one was...
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, when you got the guy who plays Jesus and you know he's going to make a lot of money for you because Christians are going to come watch his films, you don't really just want to put that on ice, right? There's other reasons. Right. So whatever their reasons are...
Bigger than money reasons.
Yes.
Bigger than money
That's
reasons.
right. That's right. Worldview reasons.
Okay.
So the film was $14.5 million to make.
Okay.
Angel Studios buys it from Disney, and I think, what was it? 7,000 people invested somewhere between $10 and $25,000 in 2 weeks for them to raise another $5 million.
Okay.
So now we're roughly at $19-20 million. So far, the reason this movie's gotten popular is because it competed against Indiana Jones, right? And it had some wins on opening night. And so everybody's like, oh my goodness, this little low budget, roughly $20 million film against a $300 million budget film. Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
This film already has pulled off $40 million in revenue.
They broke even.
Yeah, right, exactly. And they're not done yet.
Yeah, they just got started.
But it's bigger than that. The revenue is one thing. The social capital and the awareness and the popularity for whatever reason, hate and all, people are going to go see this movie now in a way they weren't before. And because of all the social capital. And so the awareness of sex trafficking, all that stuff is being brought to the forefront. Even, I mean, they're talking about QAnon and all these other things. And, you know, what I love right now is that they're talking about the fact that, oh, man, they think that people are after the blood of these infants and, you know, and it's like, well, you guys have child sacrifice and abortion. Of course you are. Right. And so this comparison right here is the same comparison to John Wick.
Right.
$20 million and the first, and they're coming out here now and they're doubling and they're still going.
Yeah, they're still going. They just started.
And the real hate is that now these people, Angel Studios, Jim Caviezel, these people are actually getting the attention of the world and they can't let them have it.
Right. Right. There's the content of the film itself already that there's probably some, like they can't come out and say it.
Right.
But there's like, they know that part of the attack of this film is on the sexual worldview.
Yes.
The perverse worldview that they have. But then on top of that, you're saying what this also represents really is a sound of freedom in terms of media.
Right.
Like it's the exodus of the media. They're breaking free of Pharaoh.
That's exactly right.
They're not going through the traditional gatekeepers.
Exactly.
There's a jailbreak going on.
Yep, their power is slipping.
And now you can go out and anybody can just go out and make a movie.
Yep.
And if it's good enough, people will pay for it.
And their worldview will all of a sudden begin to be perpetuated in society.
Right.
And this is happening it's happening everywhere. Why do you think Threads is coming out? Threads, do you think that it's just because they're trying to make more money than Twitter?
Sorry, what's Threads?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Threads is...
I've been camping last week. I didn't know what's Threads.
Threads is Zuckerberg's attempt to counter Twitter. And so Instagram has come out with a Twitter alternative. And part of what it's trying to do is to tone down the political ideology inside of their social media platforms. It is boring. Let me tell you, I've been over there.
Yeah.
Snore. But for people who are just trying not to have to deal with the reality and anything that conflicts with their worldview, Threads is awesome.
Right.
And they're doing it.
Like a white padded room.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And here's the thing. Everybody's like, well, Threads is blowing up right now because, over 70 million people in just a few days have come over there. They were smart. Zuckerberg has it set up that if you're on Instagram, you hit a button, guess what you get? A thread.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're in. You're dialed in. You got all your pictures lined up. Right. You don't have to upload anything else new.
Right.
It just ports it right over. And because of the ease of use, you just jump right on Threads. So he did that to get the awareness to say Twitter is done. It's dead. It's not going to thrive. Come over here. But the point of Threads is to be able to censor better all of your freedom. So if you like the censoring during COVID, go to Threads.
Yeah. Great.
That's what I want. And so another thing that's happening with the Sound of Freedom, it is getting people to do something I haven't seen done since the Passion of the Christ. This is Dana White, and check out what he's doing with Sound of Freedom.
Hey everybody, I'm Dana White. There's a new movie out called The Sound of Freedom, and it's about human trafficking. More importantly, the trafficking of children. This is a disgusting, horrific issue that's happening all around the world, and it's not getting better, it's getting worse. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give any of my UFC employees that wanna see this movie free tickets to go see, and I would like to encourage other executives to do the same at their company. Here's Mel Gibson with some more information on The Sound of Freedom.
One of the most disturbing problems in our world today is human trafficking, and particularly the trafficking of children. Now, the first step in eradicating this crime is awareness. Go see Sound of Freedom.
Mel has spoken.
Right. It's really striking. I mean, the other name for this, of course, is slavery.
Right. That's right.
This is a slave trade.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
And if there was a movie out, I don't know, about, ending the slave trade. With Rolling Stone and, all these people out like
brainworm for dads.
Yeah, brainworm for dads, conspiracy theories, far-right extremists.
I think that we've taken for granted the importance of films. They know how important it is for a film like this to exist. Why would they fight this?
Yeah.
Why would they fight? It's not just the sex trafficking. That's part of it.
Yeah.
But we're starting to gain ground in a way that we haven't been able to gain ground before in the movie world, in the industry.
Yeah. This is just me thinking, right? Just right now.
Okay.
Just right now. Just live. This is what I do sometimes. I think that part of what you have going on here is, it's not just stories colliding.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think what you actually have here, again, I'm saying this not having seen Sound of Freedom, but I'm just going to guess.
Mm-hmm.
I think what you have here is actually truth colliding with lies.
Yeah.
And that's why I think actually we're probably nearly at the point. I think it's astounding that Rolling Stone is mocking a movie about this sex trade. the human trafficking of children. I mean, just like 5 years ago, human trafficking was the top of the list of,
everybody was against it.
Miss America, and everybody had to give a speech, and
Right.
you all just say, I just want to say something about human trafficking. And like this, it's turned.
Yeah.
It is now okay for liberals to speak out against the far-right conspiracies of human trafficking, child sex trafficking, which means that I'm telling you, I think we're now at the point where we could make, if Angel Studios makes a movie about ending, like let's Wilberforce. Ending the slave trade in England.
Right.
Or something like that, and it was actually based on the truth. See what this is one of my great I read oh great, now I'm going to forget the name of it. Harriet Beecher Stowe wrote the book
Uncle
Tom's Cabin.
Yeah.
Thank you, golly man.
I can't believe I remember that.
Yeah, good job. That was classically educated.
Yeah, no.
Classically educated people right here.
Little
This is what you
homeschool,
got.
that's what
now,
I got.
the thing is the thing that I hated about Uncle Tom's Cabin is that Harriet Beecher Stowe's fundamental appeal is to human emotion. It was not to truth. It was not to transcendent morality. Now, she grabs onto transcendent morality and she sprinkles it on top of your feels. But the thing that I hated about it was that she was enshrining as the highest good human sentiment. Human sentiment, though, is what got us here.
Right.
Because if human sentiment, your feelings, your emotions, how you feel, when that becomes enshrined as the God, well, then if I feel like I'm really a woman trapped inside a man's body, where I feel that my son, my biological son, I think he really wants to be a girl, and I dress him up in dresses and I give him hormone therapy and so on. Well, then what are you doing? You're just following that same human sentiment.
Right.
There were all kinds of factual evils and horrific evils about slavery, crimes of slave trade, all the rest of it.
Right.
But the thing is they don't want facts. They don't want truth, because truth will also then come back and bite them
at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, and that's and that's why maybe you've seen our pastor's a bit in the news again recently. He was trending last night on Twitter.
I heard that. What did Pastor do now?
He's bad.
Oh,
he's bad.
He's like Steve Dace bad.
Yeah, he's like more bad than Steve Dace. Steve Dace is trying. And right on schedule is the same. They want to bring up the fact that our pastor said, we need to be Christians about talking about slavery in America.
Right.
We need God. The Bible is our standard, and we're not going to be embarrassed of any verse in the Bible.
Yeah.
And the Bible allows for certain forms of slavery.
Right.
And there are certain conditions under which a Christian, a godly Christian, could have a slave.
Right.
And so long as he obeyed the word of God and treated him with dignity as the Bible requires. And you say that out loud, and I just said it out loud. And I'm like, you're whatever, you're little Doug.
Deal with it, it's in the Bible.
Whatever. People are going to, mock him, whatever. But it's in the Bible. And there were Christians who there were bad people in America. There were real bad people in America. They needed to get justice real fast, and they got it when they died and stood before God in heaven. And there were a bunch of good people who were Christians trying to deal with it.
Right.
Okay. But that means truth is your standard.
Yeah.
Not your feelings, not your emotions. But that's what I suspect is going on here. Is I think something here in Sound of Freedom, there's honest people who say this is evil, and it's evil because there's a God in heaven and because children are made in the image of God, and this has got to stop.
Yeah.
It's a crime. And there are a bunch of gatekeepers who see this is all, freedom. Where does freedom come from? The truth.
That's right.
Jesus said, you'll know the truth and the truth will set you free. But the gatekeepers are based on a statist socialist complex. They want to be God. They want to be the ones who run your life, and therefore they want to be the ones who can establish truth. But they want to say, let there be light. Let this boy be a girl. Let this girl be a boy. Let this clump of cells be not human. This thing that we're giving you, this is freedom.
Right.
They want to
redefine
the whole thing. Slavery is freedom. Freedom is slavery.
Yep.
This good is evil. Evil is good. They want to be God.
Yeah, to act as if they don't have a form of slavery is an inescapable concept, right? We still have slavery in America right now, right? That's the 13th Amendment, right? We still have. There's a question
explicitly.
I don't know why people don't understand that. It is there because the idea is inescapable. The question is who gets to have it and how does it operate?
Which is why none of this is actually about facts.
Right.
It's all about manipulation.
That's right.
They're grabbing the facts that suit them. And frequently, they're not even grabbing facts. It's just lies and smears. And they're using words and stories and images and feel-good music in the background and children's stories to manipulate and enslave with lies. And the way out is the truth. Like it's always been. It's the truth. And people actually are drawn to the truth. The truth is light. And that's what I think we're seeing here is when people say, you know what? No, we don't have to go bow and scrape before your altar. We don't have to go bow and scrape before your elitist shrine, your statist shrine. No, I've got an iPhone.
Yep.
And I can tell the truth.
Okay, see, that's where I want to go.
I got a laptop. I got a blog. I got a podcast. I can tell the truth.
And what does Pharaoh do though? Right before the slaves get free, he tightens down.
Oh yeah,
and he starts. You know what?
We're gonna kill the babies. We're gonna make them work harder. No breaks, no holidays, no straw.
Yeah, he's gonna. Okay, I want you to read the ad because I want to get to the second part of what you're talking about with the cell phone stuff.
All right,
because that's what I really want to talk about.
Speaking of which, Jesus is Lord. That's what we're talking about. In public and in private, he's Lord everywhere, in every area of life, and it must all be subject to his lordship. And
Amen.
Our use of technology is no exception. What captures our attention on the screen either glorifies or dishonors our Lord. That's why accountable to you, that's the word accountable, the number 2, the word you, accountable to you, is committed to promoting biblical accountability in our families and churches. Their monitoring and reporting software makes transparency easy on all your devices so you can say with the psalmist, I will not set anything worthless before my eyes. Guard against temptation with accountable to you and live for God's glory today. Learn more and try it for free at accountable to you. That's the word accountable, the number 2 you.com/FLF.
That couldn't have been a more timely ad read when you're talking about social media.
I know.
So 2020, remember everybody was talking about the Great Reset? Like it was a great reset was going on. I think we had one. Mm-hmm. We had a great reset, but not the way that everybody thought it was going to go. I think the Lord shook some things up and broke some things on the liberal kind of the secular worldview side. And I don't think we've seen it as clear. But there's a few people who I think seen it very, very, very clear.
Yeah.
One of them was Darren Doan. Mm-hmm. I remember when Darren came in here and right at 2020 when we were doing our 6 weeks of shows every day.
Every day.
And Darren said, you know what? You need to be making content. There is an opportunity here. This is the only way you exist now. Get in on it. And I remember saying, I don't want to, narcissistic people making a whole bunch of content, being about themselves. I don't know about all that. I'm not into that. But I want to, at the conference in South Dakota, sing songs, Love God, Sing Songs, Defy Tyrant. That conference, Darren had like a 6-minute talk in between. And I just want to remind everybody kind of what he said.
Okay.
If you're not on this, you don't exist. 100%. If you're and you might be like, well, that's fine. I don't want to exist, right? But you're at a conference about how we take dominion. And Nate Wilson, I think, did one of the most amazing jobs of talking about how we take dominion. So I think these two things complement each other. And this is the premise. If you're not on this, you don't exist. So what does that mean in regards to defying tyrants and taking dominion? Well, again, if you don't exist, if you're not living in such a way where you're communicating, again, I think it's going to be really hard to communicate. And this is a little bit more practical, but I don't care if you're looking to get a job, build your business, get into school. If you're not on this device, again, I don't think you exist. And so what does that mean? I believe that social media platforms, this device, this is our new resume, okay? This is how we communicate who we are and why people should be interested in us.
I remember hearing this and I was like, oh, boy,
Yeah, right.
I don't like that, D. I don't like. He was right. He was right. And I'm going to play another clip from Doug TenNapel at the Nashville conference, right?
Okay.
And I'm going to try and put all this together in just a second.
Doug TenNapel.
Turn that camera on and put it out there all day. People want to see your life. They want to see your cooking show. They want to hear from a homeschool mom, how are you doing it? Isn't that what you want to know? Quit going to seminars. Put it out on YouTube. That's where the seminar of the world is. That's where the world's biggest congregation is. It's where your Bible study is. Get on YouTube, TikTok. If you have to, do Gab and Parler, fine. I'm on Locals. I'm on Twitter. I started selling NFTs, and Nate Wilson's he's already got a set of NFTs out. He's doing little chicken nuggets, and he glues plastic googly eyes on them, and he's selling non-fungible transfer tokens on the. And I started doing NFTs last week. I just put a bunch of art up. I made $8,000. That's more than I made in a long time. Just stepping in. Get in and get involved. I hope you're hearing that loud and clear. Because I'm done. I'm Doug TenNapel.
I remember all of this hitting me really. I was like, okay, yeah. No.
Yeah.
But what I realized, and I'm starting to realize this now, and because of the film, Sound of Freedom, I'm realizing that we have the opportunity to engage and fight back like we never have before, and we're not taking that opportunity. Yeah. That's so easy to get the ability to get in is at such a low level. Yeah. Right? If you can get in at $20 million and change the industry, if you can get in with your cell phone and YouTube channel,
like $250 with a cell phone.
But so those two platforms to get in, so you got the theaters and then you got YouTube.
Right.
Dude, perfect. Come on, look what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking about this while Darren was talking. Dylan Mulvaney. We share more trans stuff than we do women cooking. We share far many more things about the secularists and their pride parades than we do. LGBTQ. We share more of their stuff than we do of Christian content out there.
Right.
And we share it because they're out making content than us. They are outdoing us in all the content, and they're using the platform, and we're like, oh, if we make something, we'll get canceled. We'll get canceled.
Right. They can't cancel all of us.
Go make something to get canceled with. If you haven't got canceled yet, then you're not doing your job.
Right.
You need to be making something. Right. There's a lot of people. If you have a cat, if you have babies, if you have a wife, get your phone out, figure out a way to be creative because God has made you that way, and start making content that we share more than Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah.
And we're not doing that. We're not doing that. So then what we don't do is we don't invest in movies, that $14 million movies that can go on to do 100 or 200 million because we've already have we have a dispensational mentality that we've already lost down here.
Yeah. Right.
And it's like, whoa, you need to wake up.
Yeah. I think I've been thinking about this. I just planted a yard.
I heard about this.
Did you? What did you hear?
Some grass. I've heard you've been working on the grass. You've been researching it.
I've been researching it, and I planted a yard. I planted a lawn because we built this house 2 years ago. And it's just it's been a mud pile, and then it grew into what we affectionately referred to as the meadow.
Yeah.
Just was weeds, just, going crazy. Plowed it all up, planted grass. It's coming up.
Yeah.
But man, you go out and you buy several $100s worth of seed. I did that with my wife on our 23rd wedding anniversary, actually.
That's love.
So it's one of those romantic things you do when you've been married 23 years.
I understand.
You go to Home Depot.
That's Sharon's love language.
And that's like, that's a hot date. That's a hot date right there.
And it's expensive,
we got several $100s worth of grass seed. And you suddenly think, I just spent several $100s on this grass seed. And then you just start
throwing it out
there. And suddenly that the parable of the sower, just like all of a sudden like, oh Lord, please. Please,
God, Jesus!
I'm just like throwing money, and just throwing money, and that's what I'm called to do,
right?
But the thing that's been really just being impressed upon me as I do this, and some of the other stuff I'm working on, but just we serve a God of superabundance, who is a God of what we would consider in so many ways a God of waste. He just pours out.
Yeah.
I mean, the glory of his creation, this bugs, plants,
food,
dirt.
Yeah, I know. Come on now.
Stars.
Come on now.
Trees, birds,
oxygen,
all of it. Just and people. It's just like billions.
Yeah. And what would he say? Too much, Lord. Too many people, Lord.
And what is he doing with it? It's in this context of superabundance that God knows that he, in his will and in his wisdom, but lots of it does just, I don't know, it does disappear. It does go away.
Yeah.
But it's in the context of that superabundance that life emerges.
Right.
That the goodness of the world emerges. And think about this as parents. Think about this as parents. What are you doing? You are pouring out on your kids.
Yeah.
Life all day long, like your Heavenly Father does for you. And they don't even notice a fraction of it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm hungry again. I've been feeding you I've clothes and money and all these things, and it's in the context of that superabundance that these human beings are growing up that are healthy and love the Lord and are loyal to you and want to build His kingdom, and it's because 98% of the love you poured out just sort of dumped all over them.
Right.
It was superabundance. It wasn't bare necessity. It was superabundance. And then God took it from that superabundance and piled it together, and now you got a son.
Yeah.
And you think, wow, he's a man. And you got a daughter, and you think, man, she's a woman.
Right.
But you didn't put it all together.
Yeah.
And you look at it and you're like, this is amazing. This is a miracle.
This is God.
This is a miracle.
Yeah.
I just made a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then boom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But here's my point. You can't win in the culture without superabundance, which means this is why I think Darren and Doug are right.
Yeah.
How do you get good writers? You have to have people writing stuff all the time.
Yep.
Most of which will never see the light of day, and most of which shouldn't see the light of day.
Can I say something about that?
And it's just pile. It's like how do you get good dirt?
Yeah.
You got to pile a bunch of stuff down. It's manure and topsoil, and then other stuff wound into the soil, and it's like you have to have piles of that to make really rich soil. And it's the same thing with your mind. You got to be filling your mind with good things
constantly
good things, not just hooked up to some this mind suck. Speaking of brainworms, but you got to be filling it with good things, the Word of God, good stories, good songs, all these things. And then you got to be, if you want to see a world where there are good stories told, you better be making them.
That's right.
And which means,
that's right. But come on now.
But you can't be thinking you're so special and you're so important that every single seed that you drop is going to like that's where the forest is going to come from. No, you got to be super abundant. Like
some
your father.
Water, some plant, but God is the one who brings the increase.
You just pour it out. So make the movies, write the blog posts, write the poems.
And don't worry about that's not your job to worry about being seen necessarily.
No.
And because I got this from Marcus Pittman. They're doing lower, and Marcus has been dropping dimes of wisdom throughout this whole thing. And one of the things he said is distribution is being like God. Some things you only get to see.
Yeah.
Because it's yours and it's beautiful, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Other things, some other things other people get to see, but it needs to exist just for the pure beauty of glorifying God. Get it out, create it, and give it to the Lord, right? And just keep doing it and do it again.
Everything you do and give to the Lord is worth doing because you gave it to the Lord.
So
because He's pleased with it.
When Dare was talking about this is our resume.
Yeah.
This is how we get seen. I remember it hitting the whole audience a little odd because everybody's trying to protect their kids from social media.
Right.
Everybody's afraid of it. And no one wants to engage
I don't want
with
my kids being seen.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't want them to see other things.
Right.
But I wanted you to pay attention to this. I was watching Across the Spider-Verse. It was a great film. Yeah. I'm a little nervous about where I think it's going.
Yeah.
We're up in arms. We're watching, like just concerned. It's good. I think they're leading somewhere. I think so. But I want you to pay attention to what they did and how this kid got noticed by them.
When we released our first teaser trailer for this film, someone recreated the entire trailer in Lego.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched it today.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. I believe a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, we hired him. He did the Lego sequence in our movie.
No way.
Yeah.
That's like the coolest thing I've ever heard.
14-year-old kid, actually, we went and tracked him down because we were like, we should add a Lego sequence to this film and have this guy do it. And we found out that Preston was 14 in Canada, and we had to work it all out. But yeah, we added that Lego sequence, and Preston, the same kid, who did our teaser, he actually animated that. And honestly, I thought that was like one of my favorite. I mean, it was just so funny to us, this idea that like Lego Peter Parker, you might not notice it, but the beep boop, and it pops up. And the fact that Miguel says, you're one of our best. He's the only one. He's actually the only spider person in the movie Miguel compliments as being competent is the Lego.
I mean, first of all, amazing story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where'd this kid have to fill out his resume at, though? On social media.
Yeah. Yeah.
He made the Lego, and they found him because he was present. He's like, hey, I just did this to hope you enjoy it.
Yeah.
I mean,
he just gave it away.
He just gave it away. He threw the seed out there.
Yeah.
I mean, we keep on looking like, okay, I want to go to this college. I want to go to this. This kid's 14.
Right. Right.
This kid's 14.
Right.
He used a platform that we've been moaning and complaining about. Right. Oh, they're censoring us. They're doing this. And he's making Legos. And they're saying,
there's so much bad stuff.
There's so much bad stuff. And he's making Legos. And they were like, oh, man, let's hire this kid.
That's good. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Right.
And so now, could you imagine if Christians started making content that was just, I'm going to make social, me and my kids, we're going to do our own thing. We're going to find our thing.
We're going to fill social media.
Fill social media with beauty and goodness and godliness and just put it out there and show the culture.
Fun.
We're good and fun. We're going to do Titus 3 stuff, right? We're just going to do this. Let that shine right out of the home.
Good works everywhere.
Good works everywhere. And let that hit. And then what happens though when that worldview starts permeating the culture? Right? It's like, I want to hang out with those people. What kind of world are they living in? I want to be there with them. That has an effect. That is part of our testimony. Right. And we're missing it because we're bemoaning, oh, social media, they can't let me say what I want to say.
Yeah.
Live life.
You're saying we're hiding our light under a bushel.
So,
right?
Yes.
That's what you're saying. I mean, let your light so shine before men that they see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven.
And so I've said all that to kind of come here. Patrick Bet David, I always say it backwards. When Tucker broke out and did his thing, he did this little special on the show.
Yeah.
And I want to play this clip from him. I know we're going through a lot of clips, but this is a really important thing. Netflix has around 232 million subscribers. Disney has 162 million subscribers. So the average $10 a month wage, Netflix every month is doing $2.3 billion. Okay, $2.3 billion every month. Disney is doing $1.6 billion every month. Now, I just want you to know, these guys are losing profitability, right? They're not making, because they're so big, they're not making their money. So if it costs you $250 million to make a movie, and then you got to do $250 million again, you're at $500 million. You need to make $1.5 billion before you start breaking even, right? But that stuff helps you sell merch, so they're not making their money off their movies. The movies are worldview stuff. Right? They're making their money off the trinkets that come around it. But if you looked at the numbers we talked about earlier with what Angel Studios is doing, it's not taking them the same type of money. Yeah. And they're turning profits higher than Disney and Netflix.
Yeah.
When I was working with Kirk Cameron and Darren Doan, working on films with them, we did movies far cheaper than everybody else. And people can say what they want to about them. They were the most profitable films for Provident. Long run, right? So, and they did very good. We have an amazing opportunity to capitalize right there. And I want to have this conversation that David's having.
If my argument makes sense to you, buy it. If it doesn't make sense to you, don't buy it, okay? Here we go. So some people may say, well, yeah, I would love for Tucker to get a voice and blah, 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 and I would love for that to happen. Hey, Elon Musk, I would love Elon Musk to not have to rely on big pharma sponsorship and all this other stuff. Hey, I would love for Elon to not have to need money from Pfizer and all these other guys and all these companies that are saying they're canceling the membership. I would love for that to happen. Hey, I would love... Okay, check this out. Netflix has 216 million users worldwide that pay an average of $12 a month. Let me say that one more time to you. 216 million users Netflix has that are paying $12 a month. By the way,
but I'll give him that.
I'm helping for that, and odds are you're contributing towards that, and odds are you're contributing towards that.
Vinny's not
my ex-girlfriend. That's neither here nor there.
If you're watching this, if I can get your attention, Tom, if you're watching this and you're saying, well, I don't like the fact that Netflix does the woke and Disney does this and Disney does that and what, no problem. Then when other OTTs come that are trying to fight that, and they tell you $14.99, $12.99, whether it's Daily Wire, whether it's whatever, guess what? Pay it.
Right.
Pay it.
Right.
Don't go say, I can't. Pay it. Because what you're doing to them, that money is going to be used to go get talent. So this relationship is a two-way highway. I remember I would go to charity events and I would say, Jen, these guys are going to want some money tonight. Get the checkbook ready. We got to cut some money tonight. Okay, great. We're sitting there. And I would say, if the argument's good, we'll cut the check. And I would sit there and say, oh my God, this is such a great point. We don't need one of those machines. We need 5 of those machines. How much is each machine? $59,000. You know what? 5 machines, $300,000. You know what? Absolutely. We'll support it. We were planning on only giving this much. Here's the money. Because it made sense. We need 5 of those machines in that city instead of just needing 1 machine. So, audience, this is a two-way highway. If you're sitting there not happy about it, you got to fund and help those companies that can do something with that money to get that voice to be bigger. And then, this is going to be crazier, you got to go and get that vote of other people also subscribing, just like we get somebody to get elected.
He's preaching my sermon right now. Yeah. When I saw this is everything that I've been wanting to say for a long time. It's like, when this is really 101 stuff. This is not that hard, but you are always perpetuating a worldview regardless. Like, you can't help that.
That's right.
So when you're buying into Disney or when you're buying into Netflix, you are saying, I want you to continue to be able to have purchasing power to make content. Yeah. Is it supporting your worldview or isn't it? Right. And so Daily Wire, I appreciate a lot that they're doing, but when I watch their films, they're, outside of It's Good to Be a What Is a Woman, that was one of their best ones. But their movies that they're doing, they're semi-woke.
Yeah.
They're neo-woke, whatever, Yeah. And so that's not the worldview we want to see. I love what Canon Plus is doing. Their Canon Plus app out there, everybody needs to have a Canon Plus app, hands down, period. Right. Give them that capital.
And tell your friends.
Let me give a plug for Fight Laugh Feast here.
Right.
Somebody was asking, hey, Knox, why is it that right now the shows seem to be unbalanced? You guys don't have a show every day right now. Because we're making content. Right. We're trying to make movies. We're trying to make TV shows. We're trying to build a worldview out so that you have an alternative. We can't do that apart from your $10. Right. It's harder for us. It's going to take us longer. It's going to be harder. When you have a large company, I was going to play the second clip, but I'm not going to. When you have a large company like Disney and Netflix, you have power to put 50 to 60 people on one project.
Right.
We have 4. Right. Okay. We would love, and 2 of those aren't full-time paid.
Right.
Right. And so if you want to see your worldview be perpetuated, take the $10, take the $15, and let's invest it. So in 20 years, we can say, look what we built. Netflix started from somewhere.
Right.
Disney started from somewhere.
Right.
And so we have the ability to be active in creating the content that we want and supporting those who we want to see make content.
Right.
When I find somebody online who's making good content, I'm like, you know what? I'm supporting that guy. If he's making great barbecue, I'm buying his recipes.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If he's making great content, I'm paying for him a monthly fee. That's what I'm doing.
Right.
I want to see lore succeed.
Right.
We need more content. And we don't want to think evolutionistic about this.
Right.
Where we're like, I'm not supporting this ministry. I'm not. No. There is a God.
This is not survival of the fittest. This is not survival of the fittest. This is the blessing of the superabundant God.
Come on now.
Right? This is God, the creative one who pours out his blessings, and there's more than any of us needs.
That's right.
That's actually how he does it.
That's right.
And so we're made in his image. And so we should be cheering one another on. Everybody who's making something good, everyone that's making something worthwhile, support them, encourage them.
That's right.
And absolutely we need your support here.
Yes.
We really want to be a part of this. We want to be producing stuff. I mean, don't you want to see Knox making more movies?
I do.
Don't you want to see him dance in another movie? Don't you want to see?
No, I didn't dance. Oh, wow.
Oh,
yeah.
Come on.
Okay. Yeah.
Come on.
I forgot.
Everybody remembers Knox dancing.
I forgot. Yeah. That was
okay.
That was paid.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
If I'm directing, I'm not dancing.
Send your money, and we'll get Knox to dance in another movie. Right? I mean, come on.
Let's not do that. That's not a reason.
Come on.
Although I will.
Although here's the one. We have got to film him making his meat.
So this is a part of.
Is this happening?
We are producing Rowdy Christian Guides. So we shot one already with Gabe making his brisket.
Okay.
We have this. It's a separate thing from the cooking show. So we have the cooking show.
Okay.
We have 3 backlogs with the cooking show already.
Okay.
And we have 2 in backlog with the This America.
Yep.
And so I think we have another This America shoot coming up. Yep. But Rowdy Christian Guides is basically an instructional for Christians on really simple, like 10-minute pieces on how to engage and do certain things. We might even get how to do a tie, and what is casual.
How to do a dance.
We might find somebody who can dance and ask them. And then I'm going to do a pork shoulder one too. What's some other shows that you guys wanted to do for Rowdy Christian Guides? Oh, we're going to do one on smoking and tobacco. And we're going to do one on Scotch and you know what? We're doing the tour out in Tennessee for the conference.
A bourbon tour?
So we can do some of that stuff there.
It's in Kentucky, just so you know. But
what did I say?
You said Tennessee, but
we've
been in Tennessee.
And
before. We have a brand new app that's going to drop any day, pretty soon, as soon as it gets approved by the App Store for the Fight Laugh Feast app. If you already have the app, it'll automatically update. You get the new one. If you don't have it yet, what's wrong with you? And there you'll have access to what we're calling the Fight Laugh Feast Pub, which is the new name for the club.
Yep.
And this is where all this new content is going, Lord willing. And again, a bunch of you have been supporting us for a long time, and we're super, super grateful. But I think it is right here.
It's on a platter for us right now.
If there's anything, this world belongs to our God. It belongs to Him. It all belongs to Him. And so we're get to cut with the grain. Right. Like, we've had our sins forgiven. We're in fellowship with the Father, who has given all things to His Son, and we have His Spirit. That should be enough right there. Like the woke jihad, the
LGBTQ.
I can't even say it. That's because I never learned French.
Might be good for you.
They are fighting the King. Right? They're like, why do the nations rage? Why do they imagine vain things? Like, they can't do what they're trying to do. They're trying to grasp the reins of the universe.
Yeah.
They want to run it, and they can't. They can't.
It's gonna fail.
We've been brought into the kingdom. We've been brought into the light. This world belongs to us. We need to be thinking on the offensive.
Yeah.
It's all to serve our King. And I think again maybe even the thought of the spotlight being on you, like Darren's talking about, it's like I don't want the spotlight to be. It's not you for the sake of you.
Right.
No, we're not pagans.
Right.
No,
right.
We're Christians, and that means though that we absolutely want to be willing for the spotlight to be on us if it means that we can talk about the King.
That's right.
If we can show them the goodness of our King, if we can show them the goodness of the Father, if we can show them the way to the Father and all the good gifts He's given us, we should absolutely want that kind of light.
And the image of God is on you.
Right. And too bad. Too bad.
What are you thinking?
You're already stamped.
There you go.
With the image of your Father. And so, you're walking around all day long. You're a walking, talking, living, breathing.
Can't help it.
Advertisement that there's a Father.
Every time I listen to David Bahnsen, I'm so convicted.
Yeah.
Because David Bahnsen does something that few people do. He doesn't complain. I don't see him complain. Yeah. I watch every other economist and everybody going on. David Bahnsen says, listen, I will tell you that everything that's going on is as you see it. But what you don't see is that the opportunities are still there. You're just not working them.
Right.
And everything can be turned around, not by necessarily going back and having to fix all the else. That'll happen.
Yeah.
But if you work and put forth the effort, that alone will change all the stuff that's going on here. You're just so busy complaining that you don't put your hands to the plow.
Right.
And it took me a minute to see, oh man,
and he sees that. He knows, and he's building off of, this is what George Gilder is so good about.
Oh my
George
goodness.
Gilder is one of our heroes here, but he understands this, that God made the world such that the blessings come to those who give.
That's right.
And that's the key. Is so the complaining spirit sees everything you don't have, or sees the things that aren't there. But that's to miss, but you serve the God who owns cattle on 1,000 hills.
That's right.
You have Christ and eternal life, and everything else is just icing on the cake.
Yeah.
And so Gilder says this is the way forward. This is the way. This is what free markets are. They're markets of gift giving. But gift giving requires risk taking.
Yep.
You have to be willing to give and give and give again. And the reason why you give so freely is because you, first of all, have been given to. You've received freely, and so you give freely. He freely gave to you, so you give freely. Give freely to your husband. Give freely to your wife. Give freely to your kids. Just give it.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this week. You know, River Thief. Speaking of You know,
I was in.
You know about that movie?
Yeah, I was in. It's a good movie.
There's a great chauffeur. There's a great chauffeur in that movie, River Thief.
He wasn't dancing either.
And there's a story about. He probably wanted to. This story though based roughly on Jim Wilson, Doug Wilson's dad, and there's this young punk kid. What's his name? Courtney.
Yeah. I can't remember.
Sorry, Joel. Joel, our buddy. His place is River Thief.
I can't remember the character's name.
Yeah, stealing everything though from this older gentleman. But this older gentleman repeatedly just says, "No, it's a gift."
Mm-hmm.
Like, he just took it and he said, "No, I've given it to you." Like, that's what the gospel does. The gospel takes something that is meant for evil and turns it to good. The gospel takes what someone intends to do to you as evil, taking something from you, and you say, but because of the grace of God, because my God owns this whole world, I've decided to give it to you freely. I'm going to give it all away freely. And it's the one who gives like that, gives to kids, gives at your work, gives generously with the truth, gives generously with creativity, gives generously to the church, to your local Christian school. It's that person who gives, who finds that he is far richer than anyone else.
Okay, we got to end, but I wanted to talk just about Red Balloon, Andrew Crappy shit.
Oh yeah, there's another one.
I was just thinking about, one of the problems that we're having everywhere, but particularly here in Moscow, is the fact that we don't have enough housing.
Right.
And Andrew bought some property to start building housing on it, and he's going to lose $100K in the process of this first stage.
Or more,
maybe even more. He talked about it on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I sit here and I almost started crying because I'm thinking, like, this man's taking millions of dollars.
Right.
So that people can move to Moscow to have a good house.
Yeah. And he says, I'm doing this because me and my wife believe in hospitality.
And we want and I was thinking to myself, and this is the guys we want to overtax? This is the guys that we want to take we want to redistribute their wealth?
Right.
Like, I will fight for him to be able to care for people any day.
Yeah.
Right? And it was amazing. I'm like, I don't know. The liberals want to take that and say none of their money, but he's being generous.
Right.
And he's willing to take the laws.
That's what George Gilder says. George Gilder says true entrepreneurs are those people who love seeing needs.
Yes.
And they're waiting. They're saving up the resources in order to give to particular needs, but they're doing it in a risking way.
Yeah.
Not knowing if there will be a return. Not knowing if they'll receive something in return, which is what Jesus says to do. Give, not knowing what you will receive in return. And then we give back to those men generously because we see that they're such good gift givers.
Yes.
They see the needs of their community. They see the needs in business. They see the needs maybe in the medical industry. They see these needs and they meet them creatively.
Yeah.
And that's why we pay them, because we please keep giving.
Yeah.
Please keep inventing. Please keep making amazing things.
And we want to be the kind of people where the glory of God is safe in our hands.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So God can trust us with his glory. But when you're giving like that and you care about his people, he can say, here's more for you.
Yeah.
Right? Here's more. Go do more great things with it. I hope Andrew absolutely blows up and he makes a ton of money from being such a great blessing so he can be more of a blessing in the future. All right. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until next time, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politic.
I hope my son is gay.
And I hope that Jesus forgives him just like he does the rest of us.
Doug Wilson, Moscow minister and columnist with the Idahonian Daily News.
The question that confronts us is, what does it mean in a disobedient culture to be prophetic?
There be a place for same-sex couples?
No marriage.
Even though it's the law of the land in the United States?
Just like Roe used to be. We want to turn the world upside down, and you don't turn the world upside down by being nice. I believe that we are in this polytheistic, pluralistic moment, and the desperate need of the hour is for our Christian leadership to say, Jesus is Lord, and there is no other.
Fear no man.